How's it, guys? This is Davey, FPL, and welcome back to the Deadline with Davey live stream. Thank you for joining on the Saturday Deadline. I know the timer does look a little bit out of sync. I don't know why it continuously does not work, but just give me a second while I change that. You guys can let me know if the audio and the video do look good, and then we can head on to all those Game Week 31 questions. Obviously, this is going to be the Deadline stream for Game Week 31. Fingers crossed we don't have any upsets in terms of connection. Currently, we are looking strong, touch wood, that it continues. But thank you for joining me. As I said, back to the normal Saturday deadlines, wherever you guys are around the world. Currently, it's 11:05 for me, so just under 55 minutes till that deadline. But you guys can let me know where you're watching from around the world. I'm just going to bring up the chat so I don't miss anything, as well as adjust the timer. As mentioned, don't really understand why it's not working. I set up everything before the live stream. Let me just change it to go live at about 10 past. And that's going to be for today. Cool. Automatic. Scheduled. And that's going to be, what, 55 minutes? Or 50 minutes, sorry. 50 minutes save. Okay, let's hope that this timer does work. Let me just actually make a new one. You guys get your questions in so long. Don't worry, I won't be that long here. And also let me know how Game Week 30 went, because I know there was a few of you that unfortunately missed the deadline because apparently the website crashed. So I'm just going to delete this one. Okay, cool. The timer is going to start in about 3 minutes time, so just give me a second there while that one does start. If it doesn't start, we'll go and adjust it again, so don't worry. But thank you for joining this deadline stream. I promise you it will get better from now till then. We'll be answering all your guys' questions. If you haven't seen my transfer plan or my team selection, I do have about 55 points if I recall, and that took us slightly to 99k. So not the biggest kind of green arrow in the world, but at least it was a green on a wild card. And we are going to be heading into Game Week 31 with high hopes. Now, there was obviously the big injury news of Gabriel in Game Week 30. We weren't kind of thinking about that, but who could have thought that something like that would have happened? And at the moment, I'm looking to roll the transfer. And the reason for that is I just want as much information as possible from now till Game Week 32. So if you guys don't know, I'm looking to actually bench boost in Game Week 32. And therefore, I want to just monitor Game Week 31's fixtures. I want to monitor the Champions League, because if you guys don't know, home and away is either side of Game Week 32. So for example, let's take a player like a Timber. I think he's the most set replacement for me from Arsenal. But between now and Game Week 32, he plays against Everton the first game, and then he plays against Real Madrid in the first leg. So lots could happen there. Is quite an injury-prone player, so I kind of feel like information is a bit more valuable than kind of taking Gabriel out this week. I'm perfectly fine playing Guardiola and just hoping he keeps a clean sheet along with Edison. I'm not going to start for Bruggen because I do have 2 Crystal Palace attackers. That's another talking point. I might put a poll up later, but who would you guys start, Eze or Sarr? I think Sarr has a better history against Brighton, but Eze for me seems a bit more involved in some of their attacks. But you guys can let me know what you think. Eze also has lower ownership, so that's why I kind of have him at the moment. But we did have a few questions to start off with. FPL Hits wasn't the first person asking a question. It was actually Yo. He said, how's it, Davey? What to do with Kluivert? So if you guys haven't seen the press conferences, the Bournemouth manager wasn't super confident on Kluivert even playing this week. So I think if you do have him, it might be time to maybe take him out. You had the good fixture against Ipswich. Unfortunately, didn't play that one. So I think that you guys can take him out. Best replacements, probably Saul as a, you guys can just go for wherever you can afford. So you've said your other midfielders there, Isaac's the captain. Yeah, so I think that I would probably just switch it to Saul or Eze. And then you've also said assistant manager on Howe. So this is a section that I'll go back to, as I think a lot of questions will be asked. But Questions have been asked to me about what I would do with the wildcard 31. If you wildcard in game week 31, I would assistant manager late in the season. But if you guys are assistant managing this week, I think Glasner's the no-brainer if you have a Crystal Palace triple up, because he has this week and then he has the double and then the other double. So you're saving yourself free transfers. But if you don't, I think that Eddie Howe's a safe option against Leicester. Also has a double next week. Otherwise, you guys can go for Potter from West Ham. He also has a positional advantage fixture coming up this week. So those are my kind of options. I would say in terms of preference, it's Glasner as he has the doubles. It's then Eddie Howe if you have a Newcastle slot. And then last, probably Potter. There's a few other options. If you guys want me to go more in depth, we can look at that. Let's go, Siddharth. How's it, Light Rays? Hopefully doing well. SH, hopefully no power outages, but actually it wasn't my power, it was my internet. For some reason, it just cut off like 2 minutes before. I don't know. Maybe I was getting DDoSed or something for captaining Mamush. Rohit's saying, how's it, got lucky with the game week 30, missed the deadline, and had a Forest defender and Murphy starting instead of Munoz and Saar. What an absolute play there. We won't say it was luck, it was pure skill. And you're up to 72k. What's your plan? Bench boost 32 or 33? Currently looking at 32 because I've got Verbruggen and I've got Neco Williams. So they have very good 32 fixtures. How's it, Nasty? How's it, Alex? Marcus saying we love you. The usual chant. Thank you for that one. Jacobus, good morning to you too. It's going fine. It's not too bad. This week was a little bit busy at work, but busy is always good. Thank you, Reds, for saying the audio and video are also good. Alex is saying it's Saturday, bro. Okay, so did I say Friday? Did I say Sunday? I do apologize. Matthew watching from California, 2 a.m. Ridiculous. Hopefully, Matthew, your game week 31 is excellent for waking up so early. What would you change if you had a wildcard active this week? Robefly, definitely Gabriel out. I think I would go for Raya and Saliba now instead. I think the majority of the team would be the same though. I don't think there would be that much of a change. I think I might have Saka instead of Palmer because I think he has better fixtures and you're saving yourself the free transfer. But other than that, I think it's largely the same. Unfortunately, now you might have lower team value. So just let me know if you need help with that. Dev watching from Malaysia, thanks. Who would you assist the manager? So repeat, okay, if you already have 3 Newcastle, so if you already have 3 Newcastle, that's okay. Do you have 3 Crystal Palace? That's probably the biggest thing. Hi from Munich. Thank you for watching. Same time zone as you. Great. Excellent. Would you activate the wildcard to set up for a bench boost? Matthew, it just depends. It's personal preference. 32 or 33, either way are okay. Because on a wildcard this week, you can set yourself up for either of them. So I think that you can go for either of them. It just depends on who you prefer. I preferred 32 because it saves me an extra transfer in 33 because I don't have to take out a Newcastle option. So you must just look at your kind of future plans. But I would say 32 is my preference, but 33 can also work. Start Eze or Savinho. That's a tough one. Maybe I'll go over projected points there. I would say that I actually think Savinho is pretty nailed for minutes this week. I don't know if that will translate into projected points. Marco is saying, watching from my Spain trip. 100% you've got your priorities set up there. Where are you in Spain? Did you go Barca or Madrid, or did you go somewhere out there? Let me just check for you here in terms of midfielders. So you said Eze versus Savinho. Savinho has pretty good projected minutes. Eze obviously has more. Currently in projected points, Eze is the favorite. But yeah, I think Eze is leading there, even if you look at their projected points being the same. Then let me just get back to the chat here. Okay, cool. So as far as I can see, the timer is working okay. So I think I've solved the problem. It's deleting my old timer and making a new one. That's basically what I should have to do. Michael is saying, what are your thoughts on Mbeumo, Savinho, and João Pedro's options on a wild card? So they're fine. They're not terrible. I would say Savinho probably priority with the doubles. And also with Savinho, you're getting a chance of a double in 36 if Man City beat Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup. Mbeumo is obviously always okay because he's on penalties, he's a talisman, that sort of thing. But I think I would still prefer double game week players. And then with João Pedro, it just depends on your current setup up front. I still feel like this front three is what you should kind of go for. Now that we know Mamusha's nailed, Isaac is Isaac, and Mateta, hopefully he improves. I feel like it's fine to go for this front three. I think that now that Evan Nielsen has lost the Ipswich game, he's probably fallen off. But I still like this front three. But it's between this and if you want João Pedro, you're probably going for a 5 in midfield. I still prefer this front three though. Salem, thank you for the super chat. What do you think about the system manager on Potter? I do like it if you're chasing that positional kind of advantage. I still feel like Howe this week or Glasner, if you have a triple up, if you don't have a triple up on Newcastle or Crystal Palace, I'd rather go there. But if you already do have a triple up, Potter's kind of the punt that I would look at besides those two I've just mentioned. Start Foden or Saar. Foden might be different. I think Foden might have higher projected points. That's a tough one. I mean, like, I kind of want to say if you're going to be benching Foden, like, why do you own him anyways? But I don't feel like that's valid. His projected points aren't great, so Eze and Saar are leading currently. Eze and Saar currently leading both Savinho and Foden, but Savinho's a lot closer. But I think if you pump up his projected minutes, Savinho will also be up there. I guess it just depends on how you think Man City are going to do against United. Based on the performance that Crystal Palace had last week, they were pretty shocking. So I'm not too bullish on the Crystal Palace options. And Man City are Man City, so I might go for Foden and Savinho, but it's very close between them. Unfortunately, that's what happens on a wildcard, is you have these benching kind of dilemmas. Ty the Footy Guy's been a member for 37 months. Absolutely insane. Over 3 years of support. Ty the Footy Guy, cheers to you. It's not a chocolate milk, but it's close. So thank you for that one. Christian, what are your transfer plans? Have you made any transfers? So I've made no transfers, and my plan is to roll the transfer. Now, because of the rolling the transfer, that's because I want more information. Yes, I could do Gabriel to Timber, but then Arsenal have Real Madrid midweek, and I'm just worried that there might be something that happens in that fixture. I feel like Guardiola is an adequate replacement for that information, so I feel like I'm just going to roll this week. If we get news that Timber starts, that might be quite tempting because I believe Everton is a much better fixture than United. But I feel like, as I said, I want more information. So no transfers yet, and my transfer plan is to roll the transfer. And currently my captain is Isaac. I've seen no questions about that. I thought there would be quite a lot of people asking me about that one. So I've seen a question here a little bit later on. You've said reasons behind Eze over Saar. Okay, so let me put up a poll here. You guys can let me know what you think. So the reasoning behind Eze at the moment is that I feel like he's more differential because of the lower ownership. But I know that Saar might have a better kind of placement, let's say that, in this fixture because he is kind of more of a player that runs in behind. And I think Brighton might play a little bit of a higher line. So let me know what you guys think between these two options. I'm very kind of 50-50 on them. So I actually was leaning towards going for Saar, but I just haven't corrected in my starting 11. But you guys can let me know what you guys think. Harry Pratt, how's it? It feels good to be finally back at a deadline stream. Happy weekend, everyone. Harry, nice to have you back, brother. Hopefully you've been well. I think it has been a while since I've chatted to you. I forgot the deadline until 5 minutes before the deadline. I was fighting my Wi-Fi to get through the website. Crashed with a minute to go as I locked in transfer. So Alex, did you actually get them in, or is this a sad story? Tracy saying Potter for Asman this week, then very likely Glasner for the next 2 weeks. Okay, but Tracy, if you can get Glasner this week, I might just go for him because you're saving an extra transfer. Yes, if Potter does a worldie and gets the dub, then that could pay off. But I think it's worth maybe just saving a transfer and going for Glasner this week already. That's what I would kind of say. Is Bruno captain insane, says Philly? I think it might be. I think out of all the options this week, I don't know if Bruno is up there for me. But if you've seen something in United that you like, then you can always go there. I got a friend with a free at bench boost and assistant manager. Would you play them wildcard this week? So can't. Yeah, so Joe, this is a very easy plan for me. I think if you're using your wildcard this week, I would plan for the majority of teams that we know about. And that's going to be the bench boost. So I would plan for either a 32 bench boost or a 33 bench boost, and then a free hit in game week 34. And then I would use the assistant manager in either 35 to 37 or 36 to 38. I think then you're only kind of picking one team to chance on. Whereas if you're bench boosting later on, who knows who's going to double and who knows who's going to blank. So I would rather prepare for what we have in front of us, and that's going to be the bench boost sooner than later. Do you happen to have a wildcard draft? So Matthew, my wildcard draft would be this. except now I would have Raya instead of Edison, and I think it would be pretty similar to this, unless you're gonna going for 32 versus 33 bench boost. That's the only thing that's gonna change on your bench. Recommended game week and player for the triple captain. So this could be next week. You could, if you're not bench boosting, and then I would use it on someone like an Isaac, or you can use it in 33 on someone like a Saka if you think there's good minutes. Otherwise, what I would do is just kind of don't plan it now, just assess when you want to use it, and then you can always just postpone it to late in the season when there might be a double for Man City late in the season. Because the thing I like about Man City at the moment is that they haven't wrapped up top 4, so they're still competing, they're still going to be competitive, so that does give you nice opportunities. I'm stuck between Murphy and Sarr. Ty, the only reason I'm going for Murphy instead of Sarr is because it's a fixture play. I just feel like the fixture there is quality, and therefore I'm going to play him in that one. And also because I'm captaining Isaac, I kind of hope that Newcastle do well, and I'm putting all my eggs in one basket. I don't need an additional transfer to activate the assistant manager, do I? No. The first transfer, you get an assistant manager, you don't. But if you take out that manager for another manager, that requires a transfer. So very good question. But first of all, you don't need a transfer. The first manager you get isn't a transfer. Bench Kirkes or Guardiola? I actually have to even... So I think that... I would probably play Kirkes because I feel like Guardiola might play centre back again. So I think I would go for Kirkes. He has more attacking threat. Tarang, how's it going? Can you tell me? Okay, let me go check quickly for you, Tarang. Yeah, so it's basically the same as mine. The only thing that you have to consider if you're going to stay in the stream is I might change Sarr to Eze. I'm undecided. And as you guys can see on the poll, you guys also undecided. Thank you for the one person that just voted. It is now 50-50. Okay, now it's 51 Sarr. Okay, back to 51 Sarr. Okay, cool. So you guys are very undecided on those two options. Is Mamouche crazy as a captain? I don't think so. I don't know if I would captain Mamouche over Palmer or Salah though. I think my preference at the moment is Isaac, Salah, Palmer, then Mamouche. But, I mean, it just depends on what Man City side pitches up. I kind of feel like this game might be a bit more cagey though. Captain Murphy, says Tim. Probably not. I think I would go for Salah or Palmer then. Is Saka set to start? Well, luckily, we should get early team sheet news about Arsenal. So let me just go and check if we have received anything. Okay. I don't see anything on early team sheet news. However, Tarang, thank you for tagging me in the tweet from Craig Hope. He just basically says he thinks Isaac will be fine. But there's been no confirmation. That's kind of a prediction, I'd say. But I've seen no early team sheet news. But luckily for you guys, if you have Saka, we should get early team sheet news because Everton and Arsenal's the first game. Thank you, FPL Victorious Secret. Am I saying that right? Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with that brand. I don't do too much shopping there, but I do appreciate it. 12 months, so a year membership. Do appreciate the continued support. And thank you for kind of renewing. That I do appreciate it. What's your transfer plan? AJ, the transfer plan is to roll, brother, this week. Hopefully. Are people sleeping on Southampton versus Son? Or Son versus Southampton. Sorry, Steve. Maybe. I just feel like Spurs fans will probably back me up here. They aren't looking fantastic. So it's a punt. If you want to take a punt, it's there for the taking. But I would say it's quite out there. And also because it's not like you're bringing Son in for a double coming up. You're pretty much just bringing Son in for this week, and then you might take him out next week. So if you want to take a 1 week punt, maybe wildcarding 32, then maybe. But I just don't know. I think, yes, people probably are sleeping on it, but there maybe is a reason. Our biggest decision is vice captaincy. Most people got Isaac, but if he doesn't start, I don't think he will be on the bench. Exactly, FPL Victoria's Secret. So that's why I've got it on Salah at the moment. I do prefer Salah to Palmer slightly. Yes, I think that Chelsea are the better fixture, but it's Salah and Liverpool at the end of the day. So Salah versus Palmer is very close for me, but I'm currently favoring Salah slightly, as mentioned. So that's why I do agree with you. Make sure that you have a good vice captain. because if Isaac doesn't start, I don't think he'll be on the bench anyways. We also have 2 super chats here. Okay, cool. Savinho or Gordon to start and Salah captain. Thanks. Salah captain's fine. It's pretty safe. I think it's going to be the high effective ownership. I just don't know if he has the highest ceiling. As a Liverpool fan, I don't like the way we've been playing. Yes, we had chances against Everton, but we haven't looked fantastic. Salah did have a few chances though against Everton though, so I still feel like he's in okay form. I just feel like Isaac against Leicester has a higher ceiling. And in terms of Savinho Gordon, this is a super tough one. If you could tell me that both start, I would say Gordon, but I can't tell you that Gordon does start. I think if it was me, though, I might take the punt on Gordon, just because I kind of feel like he's a good player, it's a good fixture. Even if he comes off the bench, there's a chance of scoring. I would probably take a punt, but it depends on where you are in the rankings. If you're quite high up and you're happy with your rank, then I would just keep Savinho. Mr. Radu, also with the super chat saying, if you had 4 free transfers, what changes would you... So I actually had this question on my Discord server. So someone as a Legend member asked me this question. I don't think I would change anything because those free transfers are going to be used late in the season, because the current structure of the game weeks is game week 32, 33, 34, I'm locked in. I've got the free, I'm fine with that. But from 35 onwards, I might be screwed a bit, because if the teams that I want to double in 36 don't, and the teams that I want to blank in 37 don't, then I'm going to have some free transfers to deal with that. And that's where your 4 free transfers will come in clutch. So don't worry about the short term. I'd kind of bank those for late in the season. And then you can almost have like a mini wild card for 36's double and 37's blank, which is going to be so clutch for you. So I wouldn't change the plan, but it's obviously up to you. Stunner saying, are you sure you're not familiar with the brand, bro? I make FPL videos. I can assure you that the action is not that frequent, but do appreciate the confidence booster there. Thanks, Stunner. Munoz or Burn? A tough one. I think Munoz is more likely to lose the clean sheet, but I think that Burn has the high chance of one. So actually, what we can do now is let me bring up the projected clean sheets and goals. I'll just leave this up on screen for about 5 minutes maybe. Let me just adjust so that you guys can see the full table. As always, this is from Rob T FPL. I produced the same sort of metrics in my ultimate guide or my team selection this week, but he produces a nice little graphic that I can show on screen. So I do appreciate that from Rob T FPL. You guys can see him at the top of your screen there. Go check him out. Go drop him a follow. Also bring up some assistant manager stats for you if you guys are on. But basically from my team selection to this video, there hasn't been much change. You guys can see that Spurs are the highest projected goal scorers, 2.55. We've seen a bit of a boost for Chelsea, a bit of a drop for Liverpool. Actually, a boost for both teams, but Chelsea are boosted more. And Newcastle are sitting at 2.15. Clean sheet odds, Arsenal favourite 40%, which isn't as high as I would have expected against Everton. Newcastle second, Spurs third, and then also have Liverpool if you guys do own a Virgil, Konate, Alisson, that sort of thing. In terms of goals, not the most high scoring game week, I won't lie to you guys. I kind of do have hopes for Crystal Palace. Let's hope that they actually do get a 1.45 goal. That has dropped from 1.55, I think. Otherwise, Chelsea have the slight edge on Liverpool if you think that Palmer's better than Salah. But you guys can kind of use these metrics how you please. The one question we had was Crystal Palace versus Newcastle. As you guys can see, higher chance of a clean sheet as well as goals. So I think Dan Burn is slightly the better pick, but Munoz could also be up there if you guys need a defender to kind of start. For me, I have Man City, and their odds aren't fantastic, 27%, but I'm just hoping for a clean sheet. And that's why, as mentioned, if Timber does start and we get news about it, he is tempting to start over Guardiola, but I don't know. The one I wanted to also highlight is going to be Ederson versus Verbruggen for me, and as you guys can see, Ederson has slightly higher projected points. So I'll leave this on screen right now for you guys just to analyze, and then we'll jump into some assistant manager stats. What's your plan this week, says Connor? To roll the transfer as far as possible. Sup bro, my season is tragic. What's the plan this week, says, well, sorry that your season has been tragic. For me, it's just rolling the transfer. If your season has been bad, I don't know where we would look. Bench Raya or Martinez? Bench Martinez. I would definitely start Raya as far as possible. Vincent said, I need a free membership as a reward for finding every single cafe here in Thailand just to join you to that. So Vincent, what I'm going to do is I'll gift you a membership at the end of the season just so that you have those months of international or like the summer break. Just so that you don't have it for any deadline streams. And then when we come back next season, you won't have it again. But I will look into it. I'll give an application to my accountant and see if they approve your free membership. Navina saying, still not sure on who to bench amongst Crystal Palace players. Have you decided? So the projected points favor Eze because of he's kind of has very good stats. The gut feel and the positional advantage is almost on Sa at the moment because he's kind of going to be playing in behind. So it's very tough. I think I'm leaning towards Sa though, but I do like Eze because he's more differential. For draft, selling Rodgers for Marino. So Rodgers at Southampton next week, and then he also has a double last number, so I don't know if that's too much worth. And also Marino could be benched with the Champions League in and around. So if you have to start Rodgers or Marino next week, I'll just keep Rodgers. So Dash is saying top 10k finish again, or was it looking tough this season? I can give you a better feel after the bench boost because I feel like if that hits, I'm going to need that to come in clutch for me to get top 10k. I'd probably say it's out of reach just. I think that it's going to be tough. Top 10k is quite a bit of points away, but if our free at bangs and our bench boost bangs, then we might be looking different. But yeah, I'd say even if that does well in game week 36 and 37, there's going to be other managers using a free at and a bench boost. So I don't know exactly, but I have faith, but I'd say it's a little bit out of reach. Is Koke a good option? He's a fine option, but I wouldn't be buying him for this week. But if you have him, you can play him. Start Souls or Kepa? Okay, I think that's literally going to be a projected points debate. I think Kepa is probably going to be slightly favored. Actually, he's quite a lot more favored, so maybe just go for Kepa. But what I have found is that the SpreadX data really does not like Nottingham Forest. I would regard them a lot higher than 1.13 and 19%. So I think it's actually closer between them. And I might actually say that Souls might be better because he plays for a better defense. But I think Bournemouth also have a good chance. Would you not play Eze and Sa? I do have them, AJ. It's just I want to start Murphy because I'm captaining Isaac. What are you expecting regarding Foden's minutes? Start him or Sa? I think Foden will start this game. I think that Foden is I'd almost say that he's nailed to start this one. How many minutes he gets from then on is another debate, but I'd say he gets about 70. And between him and Sa, it's tight. I would maybe say I would go for the team with the high projected goals, and that's going to be Foden. So I would probably say Foden slightly over Sa. Which one to bench, Saka, Sa, or Foden? I think probably Sa, Vincent. -4 for Murphy, is it worth it? You'll play him next week and you'll play him the week after. So that -4 hit can be repaid if you're taking out a single game week player. He's not the most exciting player, so like right off the bat, I can't say like a -4 for Murphy is excellent, but I feel like it should pay off. Why Isaac captain over the other three? I just feel like he has the high ceiling. When do I play the triple captain? You either do it in 32. So if Newcastle if Isaac is fine for 32, I'd probably play it then. Otherwise, you can do it later. Abay says, hi David, just tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. Current transfer plan is to roll. Now let me actually go over some assistant manager stats for those of you guys on the assistant manager. That's also going to come from Rob T FPL. So let's open this image and let's see if you guys can see this one. Okay, you guys can also see this one. So basically, you guys can see the projected points for managers this week. Thomas Frank is leading because I think he has the boost. Otherwise, Graham Potter is also up there. Now, I understand that Glasner isn't looking fantastic here. The only thing with Glasner is that you're saving yourself a free transfer. So even though Glasner only has 4.8 points, you can regard a transfer however you want. You could regard this as a -4. So that would take him to 8.8, which is pretty strong this week. And that's why I'm saying Glasner saves you the transfer. I also do think Eddie Howe is great because he also has doubles. So if you also have a Newcastle spot, you can just go for Eddie Howe. Otherwise, Graham Potter, but then remember, you'll have to take him out next week for either someone like a Eddie Howe or someone like a Arteta. So that's why I think my favorite is probably Glasner or Eddie Howe, depending on who you have open in terms of your triple up. And then my third favorite is Graham Potter. So I'll leave this up for a little bit longer, not as long as the other one, but you guys can just look at this. Chip strategy when I have all the chips except for the assistant manager. So I think it's pretty set. You free at 34, you bench boost 33 or 32, and then you use your triple captain whichever week you don't want to. I'd say maybe look at a 33 wild card. I mean, a 33 bench boost and a 31 wild card, and then I would triple captain Isaac in 32. I think that looks pretty strong. Does Spence start? I think that he should. 000 with the super chat saying on a wild card. Plan to triple captain in 32 and bench boost 33. Cool. Keep Palmer or buy Isaac now to save it. No, keep Palmer or buy Saka. What's happening to my reading today? To save a transfer in 33. Okay, so what I would do is I think that that's fine. 000, what I might do is just plan a bit more for the future and see if you do need that free transfer. I think you probably would, so I agree with you. Buy Saka now. What I might do though is just kind of see team sheet news, but if you're going to get Saka anyways, I wouldn't bench him for Saul. I'd play him instead of Saul. But if he misses out completely, then you just have Saul off the bench. And also, why burn over Livramento? It's for attacking threat. Livramento offers no attacking threat. Watch him now get an assist. But Burn has better kind of attacking stats. I don't know if it's 100%, but he has better attacking threat of set pieces. And also, because he escaped a yellow card last week, all that you need him to do is escape another yellow card this week, and then he's fine for 32. So that's what my recommendation would be. Feels weird to use the triple captain unless it's not on exactly, but Isaac is pretty good either way. Hus saying on wildcard, would you prefer Wan-Bissaka or William Spurs? No, I would just go for Wan-Bissaka. He's cheap enough to bench for the remainder, and as you said, he's better for the bench boost. If I can't afford Konza, can I buy Pau? You can, but he's not as nailed as Konza is Osama. So if you're getting Konza, what you could also do is get Lewis Dunk for cheaper, 4.2, and then bench boost in 32 instead, because they do have a good fixture. But between those two, Pau's okay. He should be fine, but he might not be as nailed as Konza is. I'm gonna go back to my team because I've left those kind of graphics up enough. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Saw in over Eze for the time being, because I feel like that makes a bit more sense. But it does bug me slightly, but I feel like Saw might have the better matchup. Start Williams or Dunk, Verbruggen or Areola. It depends on how many Crystal Palace attackers you have. Because like myself, I do have quite a few Crystal Palace attackers, and that's why I'm benching Verbruggen. I hope that they do start. But yeah. Please made Foden or Marino to start. If Marino starts this one, I think that you can go for him. But let's wait for early team sheet news. I don't know if we'll get it, but we'll see. I don't see anything at the moment. But yeah, I don't know why Marino wouldn't start. But Everton might be a tougher defensive game than United. But I think on current form, you probably go for Marino. Munoz or Guardiola to start. I think that is a question for the projected points. And Munoz is currently leading. I think that's just because of the slightly higher attacking threat. And I think clean sheet chance is pretty similar between them. So yeah, I would go for Munoz out of those two. Or Kilman at 4.3, also an option if you want to go there. Eze on penalties if Mateta's not on the field. That is true. Start Saka or Foden. Okay, if you have both of them, I think you start Saka, because I think there's more chance of him. Actually, I think Foden will. I think both will start. I think it just depends on how many minutes Saka gets. But yeah, in a better world, you probably want to start both of those. I won't lie. Let's just say that. But I think Saka, because he's on penalties, that sort of thing makes more sense. No worries. I don't know if I answered your question, Raf and Reza, but I tried. But yeah, if it comes to those two, I'd start Saka. Means I have to sub Saar. I mean, that's not the worst thing in the world. I don't know if you guys watched Crystal Palace last week, but they were terrible. Like, they absolutely stunk. Start Timber, yes, if you do have him, I'd start him. Oscar, help, I have 3 minutes. Bench 2 of Konza, Guardiola, Saliba, Livramento. And bench Rodgers, Saar, or Rodgers. Foden, Saar, or Rodgers. Okay, so out of those players, I would bench Rodgers. And in terms of your other players, I would bench Konza. And I would bench Guardiola. I would play Saliba and I'd play Livramento, Oscar. So yeah, just to repeat, Saliba, Livramento, and I would bench Rodgers. Worry with the Isaac captain if he plays at 5 minutes. That is true, but it's a risk. I mean, it's a risk I'll take, I guess, right? It's like, it could be true, but let's touch wood that doesn't happen. Don't you think Mamouche vice captain versus terrible is an opportunity? So the only thing is, I don't feel like the vice captain is an opportunity because, like, it's your vice captain. If you said captain, maybe, but yeah, I would rather go for a more nailed player. Mamouche could always get rotated, I guess. I don't think he will, but yeah. Saar scored, yeah, so that's why. Saar scored 2 in the reverse fixture, which is why he's more popular. Is Rodgers a good option? So I would have maybe said no last week, but because he went and banged, I think he's a good option. The thing with him is that he has Southampton next week. He has a double game week in 33, so I think he's a good cheap option. And now that Watkins has been nursing this injury, he's probably the most nailed player to get from Aston Villa. So I'd say, yeah, he's a good option. To start, Wan-Bissaka or Ruben Diaz? I would go Ruben Diaz. I don't think West Ham keep a clean sheet. These kind of talks, though, they're very marginal. Like, you would expect not too much of a big points difference between them. So they're not obvious kind of moves, but I can understand why you guys are kind of worried about some of them. But yeah, I think that Ruben Diaz may be slightly better. Bench Mateta for Savinho. No, I'd still go for Mateta. He's on penalties, that sort of thing. On wildcard 32, so need a 1 week punt. So Ibrahim, this is what you have to consider now, is that it's not a 1 week punt anymore because you can just save the transfer. You can simply just save the transfer for after your wildcard, and then you have 2, which might be better for the long term. Enoch, thank you for the super chat. You've left no question. So just let me know if you. Okay, so let me say question mark. Okay, so if this has just been a super chat, I do appreciate it, but now I'm hoping that you can reply to this super chat with your question. That might help you. So otherwise, just put it in chat and I'll try and reply. Kluivert replacement, 7 million budget. Rodgers already have 3 Newcastle, so then just, can you go for Saar or Eze, Joe? I'd probably say they're up there. Sky saying, send help, Raya or Pope. Who would you start? That's such a tough one. Who to start, Raya or Pope? Okay, in terms of projected points, Raya is slightly edging it. I'd probably go for Raya. How's it, Davey? Only just joined? No worries, Andy. Not considering Saka this week. And I'm rolling the transfer. Still think Spurs bang versus Southampton, so willing to risk it. That's okay. So if you think they're willing to risk it, then I would go for Son. I feel like Son's more nailed than Johnson is. Where is... Yes. Okay, so Son is 43. Why is Son's projected... Okay, let me just check this for you now. Okay, because a lot of you are asking about the Spurs players, I'm going to go and check the projected lineup here. Okay, so Son and Johnson on the projected lineup here. Okay, so Son's in both projected lineups, so I would go for Son slightly. Is he on penalty? I think he's on penalties if they get one. So I would just go for Son slightly over Johnson. Okay, let me check. Okay, Enoch, you still haven't... Okay, so if that's just been a super chat, I do appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat, no question. Does free transfers roll after use of free it? No, Hashem, I don't think they do. As far as I know, they do, or do they now? I think it's only after the wild card that they stack. Which actually maybe changes it if you guys have so many transfers. Darius is saying, also with the super chat, these are my defenders, Saliba, Livramento, Munoz, Kokes, and Guardiola. Playing 3 at the back, which 2 would you drop and why? So out of those, I think this is purely down to projected points. I think I would definitely start Saliba. I'd go Saliba, Livramento, definitely those 2. It's just your final player, so Munoz, Kokes, or Guardiola. And then Munoz is currently favored, so I would just go for him out of those selections. It's very close between your last option, but I think that Saliba and Livramento are the no-brainers. And then I would probably just go for Munoz out of those last ones. And Neil with a super chat saying bench 1 of Saar, Murphy, or Savinho. I'd probably go Savinho because there's always a speculation of starts. Whereas with Saar and Murphy, they're going to play. Transfers do not stack after free hit. So JL, they definitely stack after the wild card. I just don't know if they stack about the free hit. I've asked about 5 times now. Foden, Saar, Murphy, and Luis Diaz need to bench 1. Who do I bench? I'd looked at a projected lineup, and it had Luis Diaz benched. So maybe just bench him. Morning, Paulie. How are you doing? 1 free transfer. Should I do Gabriel to Saliba? Of Munoz, who should start instead of Gabriel? Gabriel to Saliba to me is the no-brainer transfer, so I would say yes, do it, Northy. I think it might have been better to do it last night as there was a price change, but yeah. I'd say that that's probably the no-brainer, and I'd say I'd do it. Any idea if Gordon starts? No idea. I would have said that I think he does, but it seems like people have gone down on his minutes recently. I think what makes it hard is that the fact that he wasn't training with the team at last. On wildcard, I ended up with Edison and Saliba on my bench. That's rough. Was it because of the website crashing? Oh shit, my team value is dreadful, says Northy. Apologies for that, but maybe it's because you missed like yesterday's move. Thank you, Gia, for the kind words. I'm just hoping that the stream has been consistent, but I've seen 0 drop frames, so touch wood, that stays. And we're not going to be dropping too many frames at the end of the stream. Dave, you legend. That's a good way to get your question answered, I guess. Would you start Rodgers over Saar, and would you start... No, I would start Saar over Rodgers, and I would start... I think I still would go Guardiola over Wan-Bissaka, but it's very close between them. Defenders are Burn, Guardiola, Neco Williams. Of Gabriel and Munoz, who would you start? I wouldn't start Neco Williams. I would start Burn. So, yeah. Out of those options you've said, I would start Burn. I've asked the question above. Okay, thank you, Enoch. Okay, cool. I have all chips apart from the wild card. Which approach to use moving forward? Team almost as similar as yours. Okay, so if your team's as similar as mine, I definitely think it's free at 34. I would say, like as mentioned, I would plan for what we can. So if your team is similar to mine, I would bench boost 33 maybe, or 32, depending on how your bench looks. I would triple captain 32 on Isaac, so that's why I said preferably bench boost 33. And then you can use this as the manager later in the season. Whoever has a double will know by then. And then it's also nice because there's a few teams on the beach, so you might get some good positional advantage fixtures later on. Play Munoz or Murphy, I always go for the attacker, so go for Murphy. Bench 1 of Murphy, Saul, Rodgers. Rodgers. Is Trippier starting? I don't know. I think, though, with him it's easy because he either starts or he's injured. So you don't have to worry about him coming off the bench. Price no shake. Debbie let us start Saka. So I would start Saka in your situation. He's on penalties. He's the most nailed. ID. But now everyone's going to say that. No worries, Enoch. Thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate it. So Andy, so now actually, I thought that your transfers rolled after the free hit, but apparently they don't. Same team, what plan would you do? So if free transfers do roll after the free hit, let me go and check on the rules. Okay, so it looks like transfers don't go after a free hit. So I think what I would do if I was in your situation, and you're planning to free hit in 34, what you could do is take out Edison for Raya, and then take out Gabriel for another bench boostable defender, such as a Nottingham Forest player or a Konza, that sort of thing. Because then you're kind of getting the nailed Arsenal defender, and you're also getting rid of Gabriel. So that's what I would probably say I would do if you guys have like 4 or 5 transfers. Saka for Palmer. No, I would keep Palmer this week, even if you have 5 free transfers. You need to order more, try and get ready. I need to be more proactive on these streams. Okay, there's been no team sheet news. 800k, should I captain Palmer as a differential? I mean, yeah, if you have a Chelsea badge, captain Palmer, if he bangs, you'll be so cool. My namesake, is this your final team? I think so, yeah. I'm pretty sure this is my final team, unless we get some early team sheet news or something like that. When would you do those moves? Next week. So Andy, if you have a lot of transfers, I might do it this week because I think the Everton chance of a clean sheet for Arsenal is a lot higher than United for Man City. So that's why I think maybe do it this week. But what you can also just do is you can do Edison to Raya this week, and then you can do Gabriel out next week. So because you can just bench him. It just depends on how your bench looks and how your starting 11 looks. Because if you bring in a player this week, he either could have a good fixture or he could have a good fixture next week. So it just depends on who you kind of bring in. But I would say I favor Raya over Edison this week by quite far. So I would do that move now. Best Clivert, it's either Eze or Saw. Unless you guys don't have like a Murphy, he can also be good. There's not too many replacements, unfortunately. Murphy or Saw, Ty, it's like sort of my team. I think I would go for Murphy just for the fixture, but it's tough. Is Isaac confirmed as captain? Yeah, I'm going to take the punt. Late to the party, I'm thinking about captaining Burn over Guardiola. Oh, so I don't think you mean captaining. I think you mean just playing, Chris. Hopefully, yes, that's fine. Starting Burn over Guardiola is fine, but I don't think I would captain him. Savinho versus Saw for the differential. Saw's pretty differential still. Will I think I would still say. It's just I always worry about Savinho being benched, but it seems like he's pretty nailed at the moment. Thoughts on Asensio? I like him, Michael, but now what you can do is just wait because there's Champions League coming up. So if he starts in that, maybe he's benched against Southampton. If he doesn't start in that, maybe he plays Southampton, so then you can bring him in. But I would probably wait and see. Rohan with a super chat saying, I got 2 free transfers. You've listed your squad. Thinking Cliver to Barnes or Murphy. I would go for Murphy because as soon as Gordon's back, Barnes is benched. So that's an easy one. And Van der Berg Livramento, that looks strong. I would say those moves look pretty good. I assume you're starting Aït-Nouri with a good fixture this week. I do like him as a differential. So I do agree with your moves, but just go for Murphy instead of Barnes though, please. Sorry, start 2 of Guardiola, Sam, Semenyo and Murphy. I'd probably bench Semenyo, and I would start Saw and Murphy. What is your plan? My plan is to roll the transfer. Urgent advice, who to start Saw Mateta? I'd go Mateta. We've got 6 minutes left, so you guys can do some quick fire rounds. I'm going to check Twitter lastly for you guys, but enter your questions and I'll try to answer them as fast as possible. Okay, cool. So the last place I was at is Bench one of Mateta, Eze, Sarr, or Rogers. Also play Milenkovic or Guardiola. I would bench Rogers, and I would start Guardiola slightly. Would you start Guardiola or Munoz? I think I would go for Munoz for the attacking threat. How do I know if Moreno starts? I'll check early team sheet news for you guys, but with 5 minutes to go, we haven't got much. Actually, I need to post my final team. I do apologize. Let me just post that quickly to Discord and Twitter. I completely forgot about that. Okay, cool. Post it to Twitter. Let me just post it to YouTube quick. Sorry, guys. I completely forgot about posting it. Okay, cool. There we go. Back to the quick fire round. Do apologize, as mentioned. Okay, so we just thought, so I've mentioned that. How do I know? So I'll check for you, but I don't see anything at the moment. Yeah, I don't see any early team sheet news. Okay, and because of price changes, I'm 0.1 off Saliba. I would just, Greg, I would just bench him this week and assess next week. Unless you want to go for Timber and take the punt. On a wild card, would you go Ray over Edison? Yes, I would, Jonas. I would go Ray over Edison now. 40 points off first place. I believe a punt on Bruno Fernandes, captain. This is a good shot. Your opinion, French. There's so many other differentials, though. I think Isaac's differential. I think Palmer's differential. So basically predict what your top spot is going to captain and then just go different to them. I think Isaac and Palmer is probably going to be where that's at. Hoping my choice of Saka over Palmer pays off again. You can see a Palmer. Northie Palmer's been so bad, though. Anything Conky news on Isaac? No, nothing to rung. Who to start, Saka or Sarr? I would go Saka, Ray or Edison or wildcard Raya. Can't afford Ray in for Edison. Who to bring in for Gabriel? If you can bench them this week, do that. Otherwise, Timber. Is this fixture final? It is final. Wildcard 32, assistant manager or wildcard 32. Philly, it depends on when you have your bench boost and your free it. I would bench boost and free it before assistant manager, though. Should I play Semenyo and Mbumo? I would go for Mbumo. Temba saying buy Moreno or Asensio. I think Moreno. What about Son captain? Forward, forward, it's very out there, very out there differential. Dunk or Williams? I'd probably say Williams because you probably have a Crystal Palace attacker. Palmer to Saka, no, not this week. Rashford or Sarr. Mamouche captain, it's a bit out there for me. Who do you have my replacement for Gabriel next week, Gary? It's going to be Timber. Start Enzo or Eze. I would go Eze. Can't afford Ren for Edison. Okay, so as I said, Andy, it depends on who. If you can just bench him, do that. Otherwise, Timber. Why are you going Sarr over Eze? David, the matchup slightly better. My bench for 31-32 is going to be Edison, Saliba, Paulie. That's going to be bench boostable next week, though, brother. Why Sarr over Eze Cash? It's just he's slightly more positionally advantaged with him playing in behind. That's the only reason. But between them, it's so close. Can't do Raya and Timber. Same team. Can't do Raya and Timber. Damn. No. I get what you're saying. Okay, so what you're saying is then next week. So I would bench Gabriel this week. That's what I'm saying, Andy. If you can just bench him this week, and then we can assess next week. But if you want to get a replacement this week, then just go for whoever you're going to bench boost. If you're going to do it next week, go for Milenkovic. I like him from Nottingham Forest. Otherwise, Konza. No chance of captaining. Tarang. No, I'm going for Isaac. I've kind of decided. Start Guardiola or Kirkes. I think Kirkes for the attacking threat. Sells or Raya to start. I'd go for Raya. Enzo, Eze. I said Eze. Why Sarr? Okay, I've already said the matchup. Start Saka or Pedro. I would go for Saka. He's on penalties. Norm, like you said earlier, yeah. Why Isaac over? It's just, I feel like he has the highest ceiling, Gareth. I have 4 free transfers, yeah. So, Andy, that's what I was mentioning. So this week, you take Raya in for Edison. Then, if you're going to bench boost next week, then go for a Nottingham Forest defender or Konza. He's also 33. But you're going to bench those players this week anyway. So if you can just bench Gabriel, you might as well. You know, that's what I'm trying to say to you. Munoz or Kirkes? I think Munoz slightly, but both of them are fine. Rashford or Saar? I still feel like Saar with the doubles. Why not transfer Gabriel? Because I want the information for next week. Guardiola or Konza? I'd go for Guardiola. Savinho or Saar? I'd go for Saar. And it is, yes, Marco and Siddharth are bang on here. Philly, I answered that question a bit earlier. Hopefully you got my answer. But unfortunately, guys, the deadline has passed. It is TUPD time. For those of you that don't know, that means time's up, pens down. If you know, you know, OGs. So thank you for joining this deadline stream. I do appreciate it. Unfortunately, no early Arsenal team sheet news, I see. But we'll see how it kind of rolls on. I'm pretty sure the Arsenal team should be as expected, but who knows? There might be some out there punt there or something like that. But yeah, we are going for Isaac captain. This could be an absolute masterclass or not, but we will see. Vincent, you're saying times up, pancakes down, but I'm actually going to a pancake restaurant now, so that's exactly. I don't know, Paulie, maybe, but we'll see. Enjoy the weekend, says F4 Hits. Thank you. I do appreciate it. Thank you for this normal Saturday deadline. It does feel good to be back. As far as I can see, no dropped frames, which is an absolute blessing after Game Week 30's deadline stream. As always, do appreciate you guys joining. Have a safe weekend. And hopefully the Green Arrows are in our favor. I'll see you guys next week for Bench Boost 32 content. And otherwise, enjoy the football this week. And let's hope for a massive Green Arrow. But for the time being, I'm going to sign off. It's been Davey FPL, and I'm out. Cheers. Bye.